For this lesson, we're talking about factoring. And in this case, we're just talking about factoring with our greatest common factor, or our GCF. So for example, if we're given 64a squared b cubed and 16a cubed b squared, let's say we're asked to find the GCF. Well, essentially what we're doing is we're finding the greatest in common, so the largest term that these two terms have in common. So in this case, we have a constant, we have some a's, and we have some b's. So as far as the constants, if you look at 64 and 16, the greatest number you can divide by both of those is 16. Okay? 16 goes into 64, so 64 divided by 16 is 4, 16 divided by 16 is 1. As far as the a's, we have a squared and a cubed. So the largest we can take out of both is a squared, okay? Because a squared divided by a squared is 1, a cubed divided by a squared is a. So if you tried to take out an a cubed, if you did a squared divided by a cubed, as soon as we get negative exponents, it's not what we want, okay? Then for our b's, the greatest we can take out of both or divide by both is b squared. If we wanted to actually rewrite this, actually, you know what? We're just going to leave it. That's just GCF, okay? So sometimes we're asked to literally just find what the greatest common factor would be. Other times we're going to actually factor out a GCF. So if we have negative 7 a to the 4th b squared minus 14 a squared b, we're going to find the GCF and rewrite in factored form. So find GCF and rewrite. So we have numbers, a's and b's again. So as far as numbers, negative 7 and negative 14, we can divide both of those by a 7. I'm going to take out a negative 7, but if you took out a positive 7, that would honestly be fine. That's up to you. And then, so we have a negative 7. And then as far as our a's, greatest common factor we can take out of both is an a squared, because a fourth divided by a squared is a squared divided by a squared is 1. And then for the b's, b squared and b, our greatest common factor is b, because we can divide both of those terms by b. And so here's why that matters. So when we go to rewrite in factored form, we're really looking for negative 7 times what equals negative 7. That's just 1. And then a squared times what equals a to the 4th, and it's a squared. And then b times what equals b squared, and it's b. And then we have negative 7 times what equals negative 14. That's a positive 2. A squared times what equals a squared. That's just a 1. And b times what equals b. That's another 1. So if we rewrite this, we have negative 7a squared b. And I can kind of drop all the 1s because I don't need them. So a squared b plus 2. So we took out the GCF and we rewrote it in factored form. And if you want to check your work, just make sure that if you multiply negative 7a squared b by a squared b, you get this. And if you multiply negative 7a squared b times 2, that you get this. Now for the third one, 6x squared plus 9x plus 27. We're just going to take out a GCF. So find GCF and rewrite. And for now, we're not going to go any further, okay? So our GCF, we have numbers and x's. So as far as numbers, the largest number we can divide all these by is 3. As far as the x's, since the 27 doesn't have any x's, we actually can't factor any of those out. So we'll just look at 3 times what equals 6x squared. So this is 2x squared. 3 times what equals 9x, so plus 3x. And 3 times what equals 27, that's plus 9. And as far as just the GCF piece, then we're done. Now let's look at 6a cubed minus 18ab. And we'll once again find the GCF and rewrite. So we have numbers and a's and b's. So as far as a number, I can take a 6 out of both of those. So my GCF in terms of a number is 6. As far as a's, I have an a cubed and an a. I can divide both of those by an a. As far as a b, well, only the second term has a b in it, so it's just going to have to stay there. It does not come on the outside as the GCF. 6 times what equals 6? 1. A times what equals a cubed? A squared. 6 times what equals negative 18? Negative 3. A times what equals a? 1. And then basically it's kind of like an invisible 1, but we need a b to show up, so we're going to have to stick a b right there. So we end up with 6a times a squared minus 3b. And if you distribute here, 6a times a squared equals 6a cubed, and 6a times negative 3b equals negative 18b, which is what we want. So now we have 4x to the 4th plus 20x cubed plus 12x squared. Once again, find GCF and rewrite. Well, numbers and x's. Our greatest number I can divide all those by is 4. So 4. X's, I can divide all of them by x squared. Oops, sorry. So I can take out an x squared. And again, if you try to do like an x to the 4th, as soon as you do this, you'll end up with x to the 4th times what equals x cubed, and it doesn't work. So if it doesn't work, it means you chose the wrong GCF, is kind of the short answer. So 4x squared. And then we have 4 times what equals 4. Well, that's just a 1. X squared times what equals x to the 4th. That's x squared. 4 times what equals 20. That's a 5. X squared times what equals x cubed. That's an x. And then 4 times what equals 12. That's a 3. X squared times what equals x squared. That's a 1. So we have 4x squared times x squared plus 5x plus 3.